This is American English with Linda. I'm back after taking a break. So here is a lesson on the difference between what is he like versus how is he. Sometimes students mix that up also and say, how is he like? So we're going to talk about those two and when you use them. A bonus part will be, what does he like? What does he like to do? What is it like to, and then a verb. So we will have a practice conversation that will have grammar, pronunciation, and vocabulary examples, and a few idioms. The conversation is this: Alice and David talk about new friends, Larry and Rita. Alice says, I haven't met your new friend Larry. What is he like? David says, he is an interesting person. He is quite talented musically and also very intelligent. He seems to be a little shy. That means he doesn't want attention. But he is so polite and thoughtful to everyone he meets. I like him a lot. So what is he like means usually describe him. What is he like in a more permanent way? Personality, usual behavior, general qualities. But Alice says, what does he look like? David says, he's a little taller than I am. He has short, dark brown hair and green eyes and dimples. He must work out because he has a slender, very thin, muscular build, and he dresses well. Alice says, I look forward to meeting him. What does he look like? I want to know what you see when you look at the person, his physical appearance, height, hair, eyes, facial characteristics, body shape, style of dress, and other things. David says, he had a cold last week, so I didn't see him. Alice says, really? How is he now? David says, he is feeling much better. He had a fever for a few days, but now he is fever-free. He is not as energetic, full of energy, moving around a lot, as he usually is, but he is okay. Alice says, I'm glad to hear that he's better. How is he usually means his temporary condition or anyone's temporary condition. Well or sick, bored, excited, happy, frustrated, lonely, worried, or upset, etc. David says, you have a new friend too, don't you? What is she like? Alice says, she is very different from Larry. She has a silly giggle and is not very formal in her behavior, dress, or speech. She makes me laugh. David says, what does she look like? Alice says, she is short and a little plump. That's a nice way to say overweight. She has long, wavy blonde hair and freckles, little spots. I would love to meet her. She sounds fun. Alice says, my friend Rita is in the hospital right now. David says, I'm so sorry. How is she doing? Alice says, she was in a lot of pain until she had her appendix removed, but she is recovering nicely now. She'll probably go home tomorrow. David says, I am so glad to hear that. How are you feeling about your friend? Alice says, I was really worried, but now I am thrilled that she is better. David says, let's take some flowers to her to make her feel even better. A special note. Sometimes, how is he or she, or whatever pronoun you use, is used the same way as what is he or she like. You could say, how is the new boss? And the answer might be a temporary, he is stressed at the moment and out of sorts today. Stress means under a lot of pressure, and out of sorts means nothing makes him happy. He's grumpy. He doesn't like things today. But it could also be used as a what does he like question. How is the new boss? He's very ambitious. He wants to do well and succeed quickly. And strict. He follows all the rules and wants you to follow all the rules. He's very ambitious and strict. That's a more general description, which would go with the what is he like question. But I could use how is and get either answer. How is the new teacher? Well, at the moment, she seems confident but nervous. How is the new teacher? She's young, enthusiastic, and caring. That's more of a what does she like question, but sometimes we use it as a how is. How are the plans for the new building? At the moment, they are making progress. But in general, a longer description over a longer period of time, they are well done and cost efficient. So how is he or she or it can be used the same way as what is he like, but what is he like is not often used the same way as how is she. Do not say how is he like. That doesn't make any sense in English. The exception is if you put something after it. How is he like something, or how is he like someone, such as in these sentences. How is he like his father? Means how is he similar to his father? How is she like your sister? She's not your sister, but she's similar to your sister in a few ways. How is a cat like a tiger? This is asking for a comparison between two people or things. It's not the same as how are they. So if you want to put a noun after how is he like, then you compare the two. Otherwise, do not say how is he like. The bonus lesson. What does he like? What does he like to do? What is it like to do something? David says, tomorrow is Larry's birthday. Alice says, oh, I should buy him a present. What does he like? He likes baseball and K-pop and trying new flavors of coffee. And what does he like gets a noun, baseball, K-pop, and trying, a gerund, a verb used as a noun. Alice says, and what kind of cake does he like? David says, he likes chocolate cake. Alice says, I'll shop for a present and you can buy a cake. Let's celebrate on Friday. What does he like? What does he enjoy? What pleases him? That's what does he like. What does Larry like to do, says Alice. David says, Larry likes skydiving and tennis. That really means Larry likes to skydive and to play tennis, but sometimes we'll turn it into a noun and then we don't need a to. What does Rita like to do? Alice says. She likes, now this is the normal way, to paint. She likes to travel. She likes to play cards and to eat out. But she also likes to play tennis. This is the normal answer using an infinitive verb, which turns into a noun, to paint, to travel, to play cards, to eat out, to play tennis. David says, since they both like to play tennis, let's meet Saturday at the park and have a tennis match. Alice says, sounds good. I'll ask Rita and you ask where. What does he or she like to do means what does he enjoy doing if the verb is used, or place to in front of it in that case. Alice says, I have never gone skydiving. What is it like to skydive? David says, it takes courage. Be brave. I was very afraid the first time I jumped. Now I really enjoy it and am not afraid. What is it like to snow ski? I know you are good at it. Alice says, I started very young, so I am not afraid to ski. But it is still hard because I don't practice very often. David says, why don't I teach you to skydive and you teach me to snow ski? Alice says, I love that idea. What is it like to means how does it make you feel? How hard is it? Summer, what am I like? Give a description. I am patient and hardworking. What are you, or we, or they like? You, or we, or they are kind and thoughtful. What is he, or she, or it like? He is, she is, it is famous and popular. What do I, or what do we, or they look like? How do I, or you, or we, or they look? You can use either question. I, or you, or we, or they look cute and sweet. What does he or she or it look like? Or how does he or she look? He or she or it looks, well, he looks handsome. She looks pretty. It looks lovely. Maybe it's some okay. What do I like? I like blueberries. What do you or we or they like? You or we or they like mountain climbing. What does he or she or it like? He or she or it likes popcorn. How am I? I am well. How are you or we or they? You or we or they are happy. How is he or she or it? He or she or it is too. What do I like to do? I like to swim. What do you or we or they like to do? You or we or they like to go camping. What does he or she or it like to do? He or she or it likes to sleep late. What is it like to travel in space? It is amazing and mind-blowing.